Hi everyone, Joe here. As you may know from Anxious Me, the first film I made, I gave you all a little insight into my life living with mental health disorders such as anxiety and depression, how they came about, what I do to cope with them, and how it affects my life. So, 2 years later, which was supposed to be 1 year later, I'm going to give you a little update of where I am now mentally, what's going on in my life, and how I'm dealing with my mental health now, and what's new. So yeah, enjoy. I moved to Australia twice, so that's a big, big change. I was diagnosed with BPD, borderline personality disorder, last year because my mood was fluctuating from one extreme to the next. So I had no reason or diagnosis really for why I was all over the place mentally and emotionally. Then I got diagnosed with BPD, which made a huge amount of sense. So I'm now on medication for that. I'm working on a mental health podcast called #NeverAlone, so I can help others with mental health disorders. Big shout out to the crew that work on that. They're amazing. Obviously started Lionstale Multimedia out here, which was previously known as Lionstale Productions, so that's now Lionstale Multimedia, and we've got the subsection or next one down, which is Lionstale Podcast, which is the side of the company that makes #NeverAlone. Yeah, so that's what's different for me in terms of since 2 years ago. New mental health disorder, moved countries twice, and oh, that's the other thing. I'm seeing a new mental health specialist, therapist, called Karen, who's absolutely amazing. She really helps me deal with mental health and go in the right directions in terms of my anxiety, my depression, my borderline personality disorder. So I think I'm in a good place mentally in terms of where I was last year and the year before that. I'm doing a lot better. I'm on decent medication, which I'm now on 2 different types of medication, which seem to help a massive amount. Yeah, so that's what's different for me. Actually, since the first film, I have actually received a lot of extra support. My colleagues from my previous job, but I don't work there now because I've moved countries. My colleagues have been a lot more understanding, my dad, even though he's always been there for me, he finally kind of understands mental health a lot more, because a lot of men, as I said in the previous film, they kind of shun mental health and push it under the rug, or sweep it under the rug, because it kind of feels like it makes them look weak, which I'm not saying my dad does, but my dad's really understanding. He's been really supportive. I've had people that I least expected to be there for me were really supportive and really made me feel comfortable in kind of venting to them and going out and getting back to myself. Yeah, so there's been a lot of support. I've had a lot of good feedback. I have people come to me and say, "Oh, thank you for doing the film. It really gave me the confidence to speak up and talk about my anxiety, talk about my mental health disorder." Well, it was mainly anxiety because of the film. But yeah, people that I didn't even know had anxiety have come to me and said, "Thank you for doing the film." And I feel like a lot more people are aware of it in terms of compared to last year and the year before. In terms of comparison to the first film, I think yes, more people are aware of anxiety because celebrities are coming out and saying they have it. Like even Prince Harry, a few famous rugby players, sports stars are dealing with anxiety. So there's a lot more mental health videos going out. And if you haven't seen it yet, watch All the Bright Places. It's based on a book about mental health disorders. Amazing film, and it really shines a light on mental health, which I found very good, because I think there needs to be more films like that, more TV shows like that. Like 13 Reasons Why does a fair bit of that, shines a light on mental health. And obviously now the celebrities are doing it, and I know in London they've now got I think it's a minister or something, whatever the word is, someone that's actually in charge of mental health funding and funding people to see therapists. I know the healthcare is a lot different here in Australia. I went from seeing a therapist for free in the Boltville doctors who kind of did the job a little bit, but wasn't the right fit for me. Whereas now I'm seeing this lady called Karen who's amazing. She kind of understands, lets me swear, which I was like, maybe not. But she was like, oh no, it's fine, I'm used to it. But yeah, that's kind of good that anxiety's getting out then, which is what I'm trying to do with podcasts as well. With resources, I think there's still not enough, but there's more than it was. In London, I know there's a massive waiting list to see a therapist, and unless it's really serious, it's really difficult to get in, which I kind of found. I mean, if I had my breakdown, a year before, it would have taken me a lot longer to kind of see someone, but because of what happened with my breakdown or where I was mentally, I kind of got pushed forward a little bit and went and saw a 6-week online therapist, and then a 5-week self-esteem workshop. But there is a long waiting list. I know people that have waited like 4 months, 3 months, even longer to see someone, which I think is kind of ridiculous, because who knows what might happen to you in that time that you've waited. You might feel suicidal, you might be unable to cope. In terms of resources in Australia, I think there's a bit more, but you do pay. You have to kind of pay for the best, which is understandable, and I do get my money's worth in terms of my therapist, and I'm sure a lot of people here would understand and say, yes, I get more resources here. London's kind of slacking a little bit here. It's a bit better in terms of mental health wise here. I feel like they've dealt with my issues a lot better. But yeah, I still think there's a lack of resources, so please give us more resources. In comparison to last year, where I was last year, in terms of techniques, I've got a new one that my therapist taught me. If you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed, count 7 items in the room. Kind of divert your focus away from what's causing your anxiety, or even diverting the focus away from your anxiety, really. So yeah, count the 7 objects in the room, or just take deep breaths, as the therapist, or Mark said in Anxious Me Too. Just, and yeah, kind of realign and redivert your focus into your breathing and coping with anxiety. But yeah, that's my tip. My last things I want to add is check out our podcast, Hashtag They're Alone, especially the anxiety and depression episodes. Mainly anxiety because obviously on the topic of anxiety, which the film is based on, and the last one was. Yeah, just look into it, because we've got healthcare professionals and they're talking about mental health and anxiety and how to deal with it. And we've also got someone with a lived experience talk about their experience with anxiety and dealing with their life with anxiety, which can kind of benefit you as the viewer and people with mental health in dealing with their anxiety. The other thing I want to add, another coping strategy I forgot to add. What was it now? I've forgotten. Yeah, the last one I wanted to add in terms of coping strategies was keep busy, find a hobby. I know it's difficult sometimes. I know I struggled a little bit when I couldn't do anything. Find a hobby. Mine's photography. I go out and take photos, or hanging out with my dogs. Go for a dog walk, even just go for a walk by yourself and kind of sit somewhere beautiful like a lake or a pond or a river. Go out and explore the world, because it does really, the outside world and all the fresh air does a lot for your mental health and refocuses your attention and makes you feel good about yourself. I really noticed that with myself, going out and taking photos, doing something I enjoy, filmmaking, podcast. It could be anything for you. The last thing I want to add is just remember you're never alone. It's normal to have mental health issues, mental health disorders. It doesn't make you different. People might look at you differently, but who cares what they think, because they're not you. And all that matters is your opinion. Just remember you're never alone. You can talk to a stranger, talk to your mum, talk to your dad, talk to your parents in general, talk to your friends, talk to your partner, go and speak to a mental health specialist, a doctor, a therapist. You're never alone. There's always someone to talk to. It might even be a random person, as I said before. Someone is going to listen to you, and it will push you in the right direction to get help, push you in the right direction to get better mentally. I know if I hadn't spoken to people about my mental health, which I wasn't doing before, I struggled hugely. And now I feel I can talk to people about it without feeling judged, because you know what, there's a lot more people with mental health disorders than you actually realise. That's what I noticed. Especially in the last few years, a lot of my friends have it. You're not alone. At the end of the day, there's a lot of people with mental health disorders. And let's all come together and kind of push everyone in the right direction. Last words. Just want to say, can't speak. So thank you for watching. I hope you like this film. Please like, share and subscribe, and check out our podcast. And can't wait to bring some more projects to you.